All right, welcome everybody to the Flopbuster movie show with Tony and Gabe.
What's
We're back.
up?
Gabe, how you doing today, man?
Good. How you? Well, as good as could be. We got like 90 mile per wind hour window coming over here. So
I'm curious if your connection's gonna knock out during this stream, like at all. I feel like
I
it
I feel like it is. You know
We'll
what?
test it.
So we've been having really good luck when bad weather comes around, where we don't get power knocked out. So we'll see.
We'll see. I don't want to jinx it. I am jealous of you though because you've been able to see pretty much everything coming out. I've been slacking,
You have
and
been.
yeah, badly. And the another issue I have is I've been getting out of work super late, super late.
I've told you you
So,
gotta quit your job.
yeah, apparently so. Because when I see movies now, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I live 2 minutes away from an AMC, which is really nice, but I can't go lately on my day off because we're setting up the apartment. We just keep running back and forth, back to my parents' house, grabbing stuff. So, like when I saw John Wick, I was dead tired, and I was staying awake because the movie was so good. Same case again with Dungeons and Dragons, which we'll talk about in a minute. Mike Jones, how you doing
Mike
today, man?
Jones.
Thank you for joining us. But you've been able to see everything,
I have
and we're
been.
going to talk about that soon. How many movies have you seen this year now?
Like new releases, or are we counting every single movie, like
I guess
repeats and shit like that?
we'll count everything.
Okay. So as far as everything, as of this moment right now, I've seen 121 movies. So we're at the end of the first quarter. The first quarter is basically done. So in 3 months, I've watched 121 movies.
You bastard. I think I'm at like 105 or something. But now I can catch up. I got my TV hooked up, got everything ready.
You ain't
I'm
catching
catching
up.
up. I'm
You ain't
catching up,
catching
man.
up.
I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to catch up. I'm going to watch movies that are all like 85 minutes. I'm going to use a cheat code, and I'm going to watch movies that are like 85 minutes each, and I'm going to catch up. Just watch this happen. I'll stick away from like The Godfather or like Black Hawk Down or something. I won't watch that stuff.
Are you sure
Okay.
it's Black Hawk Down and not Black Hawk Down?
That's the porn parody. Yeah. Okay. So
Fuck, we
you
gotta
got
keep this kid friendly, right?
I guess so. Yeah. You got to see a movie I've been anticipating to see, and I was supposed to see Wednesday. Work got in the way. I didn't see it. You got to see it,
I did.
and I'm actually seeing this preview screening. But I want you to. How was Air? Let's talk about Air.
Air is magical. Air was as a sneaker. I'm not gonna say I'm a sneakerhead. I do have some Jordans that I don't wear, or I wear them like once a year. Um, but that's about it. But as a person that grew up in the '90s, grew up idolizing Jordan, um, Air was just everything that I wanted it to be. I mean, I think everybody knows somewhat the story of how Jordan got signed up with Nike. So it was a great story. The acting was great. I think I told you Chris Tucker, who always been a favorite of mine since Friday, and he hasn't done anything in a while since 2016. He was in this, and he was just electrifying. He stole the show. Every time he came on screen, it was a Chris Tucker show. And so I had so much fun with it.
That's exactly what I've been hearing from everybody. I think this movie has like one bad review I've seen. I've heard across the board it's got like a 99% Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't know a movie right now that has that high of a rating. But I've been extremely excited for this. So when you came out and called, you texted me and said instant classic. That got me hyped already.
It is. And you know what's funny is I'm very much, and you know me, right? I'm very much an action guy. I love movies that give me a lot of action and like a lot of stuff to see on screen. This is very dialogue heavy. You could feel the tension in the air. I mean, you already know how it's going to play out, right? Jordan's with Nike. But the tension still, the way Ben Affleck, I know you hate him as Batman. I love him as Batman. And
Wait. Why did you just randomly throw that?
because I'm going to say because what I'm saying is what I'm trying to say.
I do not hate Ben Affleck as Batman.
Ben
I
Affleck,
thought he was a very good Batman in a very bad movie.
Ben Affleck has turned out to be quite a director. Like you could say whatever you want to say about him as an actor, about the roles he chooses to take on, but as a director, I like everything came to fruition with this movie. Like he was able to cause drama. He was able to keep you, suspended in disbelief. Like, oh man, is he gonna sign with Nike? Is he gonna sign with Adidas? Is it like you already know the outcome, but yet you're like, damn, you're like in your mind, you're like, is he gonna go another route? Like, and Ben Affleck was able to do that with this.
That's exactly what I want to hear. And to your credit, when you mentioned Ben's directorial work, I mean, I can't think of a movie that I haven't really liked from him. I mean, I haven't seen Live by Night. I know that's one that a lot of people were mixed on, but I thought The Town was great. I thought Gone Baby Gone was great. Argo was great. So like seeing him back in the director's chair for this, and he loves basketball. Like the guy really does love basketball.
Right.
Teaming up with Matt Damon, this is a no-brainer. I already know tomorrow I'm going to walk out of that really, really happy with it. By the way, you mentioned action movies, and I'm going to switch gears for a second. I was at Dungeons and Dragons last night, and they played the Transformers Beast Wars trailer in front of the movie in IMAX. And maybe I just haven't been paying attention enough to that movie because they haven't really been promoting it as heavy, but that's a really good trailer.
I don't know what you've been watching when you say it hasn't been being promoted.
I've only seen that one trailer.
I think we got a different cut of that trailer.
Okay, there was stuff in there that looked new, but what I was gonna say was I think I'm ready for some Bayhem. I know it's not Michael Bay, and you said this a while ago that you're ready for like some Transformers Bayhem kind of action. The design of the Transformers looks really good in this. They look really, really good.
Right. They went retro with Optimus Prime. They went G1 Optimus Prime.
Right. I was going to mention that they went retro at all the designs.
Late 80s. So I love the design that they're taking. They also went retro with Bumblebee again, where they left off with the Bumblebee solo movie. So I'm excited. Again, Beast Wars, the Predacons, and the Maximals. I'm so there for it. Like day one. Like I wish I could get like a fucking early screening copy, and I could just see it at home before I see it in IMAX. Like I'm gonna go all out for this movie. All right, I'm just gonna say it. Like IMAX, fucking Dolby, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna see it like in all fucking 5 different formats. If there's a fucking 4D fucking movie theater where my fucking seat is fucking shaking, I'm gonna go see it in that too. Like I am ready for this.
So I missed 2 Transformers movies. I've seen the original trilogy, saw them all opening day in theaters Thursday night. I think I mentioned this before, Lake Street Theater, Oak Park. I have not seen the Mark Wahlberg ones. And there's 2 that I'm missing, right? That's Age of No, is that the right? What's the Last Night, and what's the other one?
The Last Night, and I believe it is Age of Extinction.
Okay. Yeah. So I haven't watched those. I think it's time I know they're really, really long from what I've heard. But maybe it's time I watch this. And Bumblebee, you told me to watch that for a while. I finally did watch Bumblebee a while ago, and I thought Bumblebee was really good. So
yeah, they changed it up with Bumblebee. I mean, listen, as a huge Transformers guy, I make no apologies for my love of the Transformers movies. I don't give a fuck. People could say that they hate them. I absolutely love all of them. But Bumblebee was a different turn for the franchise.
And this is that moment, real quick, Mike mentioned this. That was the moment in the trailer that had me kind of hyped. The footage in it looked great. It looked like the animated series. And Anthony Ramos from In the Heights, I feel like his star is ready to go. He's ready to take off. And I feel like he hasn't really done anything quite since In the Heights. I can't think of another movie he's been in lately, but I think he's a really great actor. Travis, thanks for joining us. The Way Back, yeah, he drinks like a beer scene in that movie. He takes showers with it.
I like The Way Back. I saw that too. Really I like The Way Back.
It's really good. That was one of the few COVID movies we got.
Yeah,
right at the beginning, they put that out on streaming.
But you know what? I want to touch back on this, right? So you have Ben Affleck in The Way Back. You had Adam Sandler in that basketball movie too with Bo Cruz.
Oh, Hustle. Yeah.
Hustle. And now you have also another basketball movie with what's his face? God, I forgot his name. Woody Harrelson. Yeah. Champions. There we go. So it's like these like small, I want to say indie, basketball movies are like for the last couple of years have been coming back.
Right. And then Ben and Adam are going to be in a movie about sports collecting from the director of Uncut Gems. So they're going to be like high anxiety sports collectors. So I that's all I know.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. I feel what does Travis say? What does he say here? I feel Transformers: Dark of the Moon was the best of the films. It felt the most cinematic and like a '90s blockbuster. I like all three. I mean, I haven't seen them in like 10 years, but I remember liking all three Transformers movies.
I watch all the Transformers movies a good maybe twice a year. Like I'll watch them early in the year, and like sometime around August or September, I'll rewatch all of them again.
Is the '07 one in 4K? I should pick up that in 4. I should watch that in
They're
4K.
all in 4K at this point, I believe.
I should watch that one. I feel like since talking about it, since we've been talking about it, and then we had Gabe and Connor on, we talked about it then. I feel like it would be fun to revisit some of those.
They're always fun.
Okay. I want to briefly touch on this because I do want to get your opinion because I know we try to avoid drama, but like, fuck it. We talked about Ezra Miller. I think we should mention this. What's your take on the Jonathan Majors stuff? Is he fucked? Do you think his career's going to be over if this is all, if it really turns out that like he did this and he's guilty?
It's hard to say. I'm one of those people, right? I feel like I'm going to get canceled with what I'm about to say, right? Because I'm part of the, like, I grew up, right, and they teach you in school, and my parents and all that is you're innocent until proven guilty. But in the culture that we're at now, right, you believe
Right.
the woman, and then after the fact, right, it's hard for me to say. I listen. You and I have talked about how great Jonathan Majors could be, how huge of a star he could be, and I wish that I just wanted, like, if that shit is true, then I think he truly is fucked. There could be a comeback story, an apology tour. Maybe he goes away for a couple of years, which is going to really fuck up Marvel because they have a huge fucking plan for him.
So weird. So weird that he has all these movies come out at once and then bam, that story drops. And no, I agree. I think everybody should wait until the story is clear because we don't have anything really concrete yet.
Right.
It's a lot of TMZ stuff. But
So
if it's true,
right,
he's fucked. I
yeah,
mean, he's
he
fucked.
is. Now it does remind me of. No, it doesn't remind me. I'm not gonna say it reminds me, but do you remember the Blackhawks, Patrick Kane?
Yes.
Where he got those allegations.
Yep.
The team suspended him, and he kept on saying, "I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent." It took like about maybe 6 months, and then they find out that the girl was just made up the entire story. Like she finally broke down, and so again, innocent till proven guilty. I wanted to hold that judgment even in this, but I think he's gonna have to like step away from the limelight while all this clears up.
Yeah. I think the major issue, I mean, it's with basketball players and hockey players, a lot of that stuff was happening at the same time. Derrick Rose got into an issue with that. And I feel like I don't want to say with basketball we kind of just like brush it off. I feel like it's harder for actors because we're seeing their faces up on the big screen playing these heroes and villains, whatever it is, but we're seeing them and like, right, like it's a little bit, I don't want to say different, but I feel like with Majors, he's such a hot topic at the moment, and the way that news broke and the details of that news, it's kind of horrifying, and the way he's painted is horrifying, and it's like, I want to say bigger than Mel Gibson. If this comes out and everybody says these are the facts, it's true, he did it, there's no way he can deny it. Doesn't look good for him being a man who strangles women.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Is if you could go all the way back, and we're talking about actors, right? But like, for example, Eddie Murphy came back from cocaine and transvestites, right? He was able to come back from that. Robert Downey Jr. came back from fucking drugs and
Right.
and hookers, whatever his thing.
And we've given Shia way too many chances.
You have Shia too many chances. The only thing that I would say the only thing you can't come back from is like, I feel like it's beating a woman, taking advantage of them like Weinstein did, or even a Mel Gibson's like fucking anti-Jewish tirade or anti whatever tirade.
He went off on everybody.
He went off on everybody. I mean, shit. Kanye's trying to come back. Oh shit! I saw 21 Jump Street. Let me come back. I love I love the Jewish people now. And it's like, dude, like you can't come back from that just yet. Like you can't go like say this like 6 months ago and then 6 months later say, hey, yeah, I saw 21 Jump Street.
And
Jonah
now
Hill,
everything's okay.
right?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's my dude. Everything's okay now. Like no, like so I like those couple things. It's like I feel like that's like the death on your career in a sense.
No, and I think it doesn't help. Again, it doesn't help Majors that they haven't said anything. They just said, "Oh well, we have proof that he's innocent,"
Right. His
and the
lawyer came out and
only
said, I have proof of it.
the only proof is like this statement that she made, where she kind of backtracks, which is kind of scary because women have done that before.
Of
Where
course they have.
yeah,
They backtrack because they see the fucking everybody's attacking them because obviously you're gonna have the people they'll be like, oh my god, like he's innocent. Why the fuck are you doing this? Like you're gonna have the internet
right, and
trolls
it's
and
gonna scare her, and
it's gonna scare
obviously
her.
that's what I'm saying. Like it is true. Like we don't know the details, and
Right.
it is like one of those situations we have to wait and see. The marvel of it all, I really don't care what happens with that. They could just recast. Kang is like we've already said, it's a multiverse character, right? Like he comes in many iterations. They've already established Spider-Man can come in many different forms. Go ahead and recast him. I mean, at that point, there was nothing really there that I cared about within these appearances he made. Has he
No.
been great in like Creed and Devotion and that upcoming movie that he's Magazine Dreams? He looks great in that, but man, the last time something this bad happened, I don't know if you remember this movie. It was called Birth of a Nation, not the OG Birth of a Nation, but there's a couple of years ago there was a movie called Birth of a Nation, and everybody said it's going to win the Oscar for Best Picture. It's going to win. The director, I'm blanking on his name. He wrote, directed, and starred in it. Gabrielle Union was also in the movie. They were saying this movie was a lock to win. Not like even a month or two after this movie premiered, allegations came out against him. Like really
Right.
damaging allegations. That movie went radio silent, bombed at the box office, barely got a release, did not get awards consideration. Have not heard of that dude since. James Franco, have not heard of that dude since everything that went down with him. So what Majors is it
Which
didn't
is
look that way for him.
which is
Like,
funny because as you were talking and I'm listening and you know what's funny to me is that it's we as a society as whatever we decide who gets to come back and who doesn't, right? And it's fucked up because you have two people in Roman Polanski who's been able to fucking make these movies and these actors
right, he
go
makes them
to
overseas. Yeah.
France and they go and they're like, oh, it's an honor to make movies. But Roman Polanski has a fucked up history. The dude that did fucking Jeepers Creepers also has a fucked up history, and they've been allowing him to make what Powder, the first three Jeepers Creepers. Like finally, they took him off.
I
The
feel like
new
finally
one to
they
come
can't.
out.
I feel like he got by Jeepers Creepers 3. It was Canada that really got him to be like, "Hey, you're done." Like they put up signs that a pedophile was making a movie. And I forgot what the situation was, but they
Right,
made it known that he was a pedophile. And I feel
right.
like at that point, it was like he tried to have that
But
little
Hollywood
comeback.
already knew. Like
Yeah,
Hollywood already knew what shit had happened down in the fucking in the late '80s, early '90s. But
right.
they was still allowed to do fucking movies. Also the other guy from fucking New York who married his fucking adopted daughter,
Woody Harrelson,
Woody
not
Allen.
Woody Harrelson, Woody Allen, not Woody Harrelson, Woody
I
Harrelson.
mean, again, another person that people are honored that they're in a fucking Woody Allen movie. Which I'm gonna say this
Right.
right now. I can't stand any Woody Allen movie. I'm sorry. I feel like they're all fucking pretentious New York fucking movies. Like I don't like that shit. But anyways, that's not it's not for me. I'm sorry. Woody Allen movies aren't for me.
Hot
Uh,
take.
hot take, I
He's
guess.
made like 50 movies, I think. He directs like a movie a year or like 2 movies a year or something.
Right, but
Yeah.
again, so we allow him to continue doing this shit. Maybe not anymore in this era, but for many years and decades, we allowed these people to make movies.
No, I get
And
what you mean. If like we're gonna like start pointing the finger, I mean those guys have some real deep allegations. We don't know any details about the Jonathan Major stuff. Do I hope it's not true? I hope it's not true. If it is true, I hope he gets punished for it. 100%.
absolutely, 100%.
100%. If this, I mean, it's looking true. I'm about 60% sure this is probably true. The way everything's painting, and you have other stories coming out about how he acts on set, it might be looking really bad for him. But I think you raised a really good point about Woody Harrelson and Roman Polanski. I think, yeah, those guys have made revolutionary movies in the 60s and 70s, of course. Um, but they, Woody's been accused of some pretty terrible, reprehensible things, and Roman Polanski fled the country. He fled
Right.
the country. Like, and you bring up Victor Salva too. Like, it is kind of crazy how deep all that goes. And like that's why there were so many women pushing for a change with the Me Too stuff. People wondered, why did so many guys get out? Because everybody finally spoke up. Like that's the reality of it. Everybody finally spoke up about Cosby and how insane he was, and Weinstein, and like all these guys. I really hope that's not the future for Majors, and he's
And
not this
listen,
serial woman choker. But
and let's not forget the men that were canceled for speaking out, like Brendan Fraser, who got, essayed.
that's true.
Terry Crews got, also like 50 Cent came out and made fucking fun of Terry Crews, like, oh, how are you gonna be this big old dude and you're gonna allow another smaller man to like touch you? Like, just it happens to women and it happens to men. As you could be assaulted that way, it doesn't matter your freaking gender or how you identify. Like, people could just fuck
People
you
get
up for some
assaulted,
reason.
yeah, and the way he described it, like it's realistic. Like I think when people speak up in Hollywood, it is very hard to to get work in that town when you speak up about other people that are in power. Like these guys in suits that run that town, you say, oh well, they assaulted me or they did this or did that. I mean, they're the guys with the money.
Right.
They're the ones that fund these projects. So of course it's hard. And it's fucked up what happened to Brendan Fraser, Terry Crews. Like it goes more obviously towards women, but
Oh,
it
right.
does
It
go
does.
both ways to guys too. And
I
crazy.
just was watching this TikTok this morning. I was awake at like 3:30 in the morning for some reason, and so I was watching TikTok, and then they were showing how fucking creepy, like old men and old women were towards like 16-year-old Justin Bieber. Like they would get
I
close
heard
to
about
him,
this.
and they were
Yeah, I heard
like,
about this.
"You smell so good," and they would be asking him like almost like sexual innuendo questions. And listen, Justin Bieber is whatever he is, right? Either you like him, you don't, whatever. I don't care. But he's 16 years
But
old,
he was still a
and
kid
he was still
exposed in
like,
that. Yeah.
right. He was a kid being exposed to that. Drew Barrymore has come out and said after her ET stuff when she was still a kid, like shit's fucked up.
Yeah,
But
Drew Barrymore said there was a lot of people that were scary in that industry. I mean, luckily I mean, she was part of the Barrymore family, so I feel like she would have been like
right,
she had a bit more pull than most kids would have. Like she was a bit more royalty. She was exposed to drugs and things like that, but she at least had a bit more protection. You think of kids like Corey Feldman,
Corey Haim.
Corey Haim, like kids that were literally being like fucking molested, like in that industry. I feel dark. I want to get off the subject now.
You know what? Let's just change this.
Anyway,
it's dark in here.
If Majors is in fact guilty of this, and there is a case brought against him, and evidence. I mean, the evidence is looking bad for him already. But if it looks worse for him, I mean, all I can say is, yeah, he's a good actor, but good riddance. I don't feel cool
Right.
watching movies about that stuff and people putting their hands on women. I mean, it's at the end of the day, he's a big dude. Like you shouldn't be choking anybody. Period. So
I mean,
that's just.
if you want to choke somebody, do what that David Carradine did and just choke yourself, and
Oh man, I forgot that's how he.
pleasure yourself while choking yourself.
That's how he passed. That's really sad. Yeah,
Bro, okay. Well, I know we're getting off the subject, and we definitely honest on, but I'm just gonna take it there. Like, imagine like they find your body as you're fucking choking and hanging yourself, and you're fucking like naked, and you're like rubbing one off, like, and you
it's really
die in
fucked
the
up.
middle. Like, that's fucked up. That's
It
like a
is.
fucked up way to go, and a fucked up way to like somebody to
There's
find
a
you.
movie about that. I don't know if you've seen this movie. This is it's called The Greatest Dad in the World, I think. And Robin Williams plays a teacher, and his son is terrible. His son is like a bully. He's an asshole. He picks on his own dad. Anyway, he comes home one day and finds his son strangulated himself from masturbation with the rope tied around his neck in the closet. So instead, because he's this aspiring writer, he instead starts to milk this story that his son died in a more poetic way, and it wasn't that. and he makes up all this stuff. It's a comedy. It's really messed up, but
Sounds like
anyway,
a
it
messed
just
up comedy.
it reminded me of that. It's a really dark movie, but that's the worst way to go out. All right, we're done talking about that stuff. But yeah,
We're done. Let's
if Majors is indeed guilty, I mean, again, good riddance. So you don't need. I don't want to watch a movie with a guy like that.
all right. Stop bringing them up. We're gonna get in on the movie that you did see
I did
on
see
the
it
new
before.
release this one,
Yes.
and the movie that I also saw it yesterday, which is gonna be Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
I want to know, how surprised were you in Dungeons and Dragons, and were you excited for Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, I think I pointed out to you that the trailers that dropped over the summer, I said, man, that looks kind of fun. And the filmmakers that have done this, they did Game Night, and I thought I love Game Night. I thought Game Night was such a great, well done comedy,
Right.
and it's rare that we get big studio comedies that are just front to back, well shot, well directed, well acted, all those things, and happen to be big hits. So going into this, that was my one hope. I was like, oh, maybe it'll be like a Game Night. I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons other than I would see ads for them on the back of comic books, and that's about it. Like I know nothing, never played the game. I know Stranger Things. They play Dungeons and Dragons in that. So I went into this movie excited because you said some pretty good things about it. So all the reviews were stellar. So me and Victoria went last night in IMAX, and I think she's a good litmus test for it too, because I think she had zero interest at all. And we both were laughing. We had a fun time. And you know what it reminded me of is I'm happy that we're getting a blockbuster that isn't this big superhero thing. It is this just fun, grand, like swashbuckling adventure, like the Mummy movies or the
Right.
Mask of Zorro, where you get this band of misfits against something that's maybe a little supernatural, but has a world that you kind of fall in love with, even if you're like unknown to it. I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, and I thought everything was cool and memorable. There's some great cameos. There's creature effects work that isn't CGI. It's puppets and makeup, and to me, that's all solid. I thought this was a really solid blockbuster.
Yeah. So I know the director John Daly, and I know he did make Game Night, but I followed his career somewhat because he was on the show that I absolutely loved called Freaks and Geeks. Um, so I already knew of him, and it's awesome to see a lot of the cast from Freaks and Geeks like really blow up. John Daly, obviously Franco, Seth Rogen, like Busy Phillips, like they are blown up in their own way. But anyways, I digress here. Dungeons and Dragons, I've always been interested in actually playing the game. Um, Only because another show that I consider like my top 5 TV shows of all time, Community, they played Dungeons and Dragons in Community, and they made it seem like it was a like really cool role playing fantasy game. And I've always wanted to play it, so I've always been interested in it. Unfortunately, I don't have any friends that are into Dungeons and Dragons. Like I'm trying to get my cousin Fabian to go in on Dungeons and Dragons because he seems like the one. Listen, I love my cousin Fabian. I'll listen, Fabian, if you're listening, bro, I love you, but you seem a little geeky. You seem a little nerdy. I feel like you would be like the one to like start up a fucking Dungeons and Dragons.
I
This
think
is
Adrian, your cousin Adrian, plays Dungeons and Dragons. Like he
Well,
actually
nobody's
went.
ever
He went
fucking invited me for fucking Dungeons and
well,
Dragons. I
there,
want to play fucking. If anybody's listening to this, right, either live right now or like later on, you rewatch this. Invite me to a Dungeons and Dragons game in the Chicagoland area. I will show up. I will be there. Just let me know what I need to do. I'll make up my character, I guess, or whatever. Just let me know. Anyways, though I thought the movie rocked, and like you said, it's a non superhero pre-summer blockbuster, and I feel
yep.
like it feels like a palate cleanser for me. Like it's just I've just been so frustrated in DC and in Marvel and the shit that they've been putting out recently, and I'm just like, all right, I'm getting that tiredness from superheroes. I'm ready for something else, and I think because we've talked about is this the best year for movies in 2023, and I feel like it's too early to tell, but I want to say that I feel like the mixture of movies that we've gotten this year I haven't seen in quite some time. Like I felt like you knew every year you were gonna get three to six superhero movies from Marvel and DC, like throughout the year, and that was the big movies, and maybe a couple of horror movies sprinkled in, and that's your summer. That's your summer. Not to mention Fast and Furious every
Right.
other year, right? And that's your summer. That's your movie thing. Everything went to streaming. Everything went to Netflix, Hulu, whatever the case may be. This year, I have gone to at least seen 26 new movies at the theater, which is absolutely crazy to me. And if you looked at my link, my letterbox, they're all different. I got old ladies and 80 for Brady, right? You got Megan, you got a fucking cocaine, you bear on cocaine.
That's true.
You know, you have Magic Mike, fucking love Magic Mike.
I want to shout out Travis said, I remember John Daly for most from the Ryan Reynolds movie Waiting, great movie, where they intentionally don't give him any lines until the end. I really like Waiting. I think
I
Waiting's
loved
a lot of fun.
Waiting. Okay, so very fucking pervy thing, and obviously I do not recommend to do this now, but when Waiting came out, me and my group of friends used to fucking do the bat wing to each other. We'd try to make your other friends see your balls. So like fucking we'll be doing like the fucking goat tucking, the balls between the legs and all these fucking weird shit stuff.
That's crass humor that you could get away with in like 05 that if you do now, somebody will call the police on you.
Right. Like, can you imagine now you're in a fucking supermarket and you're just like waiting for someone to come by to show you the fucking bat wing? Like,
no, I would be
look
disgusted.
at my bat wing. It's also like the same thing that you would look at like Jackass, right? Like Party Boy in the bikini, just dancing on people. You can't do that anymore. Nope. You gotta ask for their permission before you could dance on people.
2023 is looking pretty strong. The rest of the year seems very promising, and that's what I was bringing up to Gabe. 2022 was so shocking because it just kept getting better, and the lineup of movies was there, and it was big, but something still felt missing. Like the theatrical experience still felt like there was a crowd of people who were unsure if they were going back to the theater. And Avatar brought a ton of people back. Top Gun brought a ton of people back. Batman, Doctor Strange brought a ton of people back.
Right.
But the real test was, how are smaller movies going to do? Like, how are comedies going to do? And for me, one of the first movies there was a couple where I said, okay, people are interested in other things. There was two movies. It was that Lost City movie with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. Yes, and he also had Dog, which also did really well.
Dog was good.
What's up, Connor? But also Ticket to Paradise. I went to see Ticket to Paradise, and it was packed. It was crowded. Everybody was laughing and having a good time, and they just wanted to see movie stars be movie stars. It went on, made a ton of money. I think that we're going to see in 2023 I think we're going to be at like the closest capacity of people going back to the theater that we've seen probably since 2019.
Listen, when I went to go see Air, right, the screening of Air on Wednesday, that movie theater was packed. And I'm talking, and I don't know if it's because of Nike or the pull of Michael Jordan or because we're in Chicago and everybody loves Michael Jordan, but I could tell you that screening of Air was packed with African Americans, whites, Mexicans, Latinos, old, young, middle-aged, like every single demographic that theaters want to go see these movies, you had that at that screening of Air. It was just a plethora of just different types of people from every single walk of life, and it was awesome to see that. When I went to go see Dungeons and Dragons yesterday, I went to a 3:00 showing. It wasn't packed, but the people that were there was also a mix of like kids, adults, men, women. It's like what the movie theaters were wanting to happen.
And that's how my screening was too. My screening wasn't packed last night, but it was all different. It wasn't just like nerdy guys. It was everybody, like young and old. And everybody was into the movie. You could tell, like, everybody was laughing at the same jokes and, like, really excited. And you could tell, like, nobody knew what this movie was going to be. And it was really, really fun.
Right.
And you mentioned Air. And Air is another movie, which I'm excited for tomorrow. Way too pumped. But you want a dad movie. Like, when I saw Ford versus Ferrari, it was a bunch of old dudes at that theater, and they were all clapping and cheering and having a good time. Every kind of movie needs to be back in theaters, not just these big superhero movies, not just horror movies. Every movie should be seen on the big screen.
I don't know about every movie because do you
Every
really want
movie.
it? Do you really want to
Every movie.
see Murder Mystery 2 on the big screen?
Well, that was clearly made for Netflix.
Okay,
I don't count Netflix movies because I feel like Netflix movies, I've mentioned this before, they're shot really bad. They
have
look bad.
a Netflix shine to them.
They didn't it's the Netflix shine. Why do they all look like that? They spent, and then you look at the budget and it's like $200 million on what? On I guess just paying actors. But that's the thing that excites me about 2023. And when you look at the lineup, Mike said there's a ton of movies that it looks promising, and it's off to a strong start. It is off to a strong start.
It is.
And we still have Barbie and Oppenheimer. They just Apple announced that they're putting all their movies on their slate coming up, theatrical releases.
Which, you know me, I hate Apple. I'm an anti-Apple guy. But
Smart move.
But I will give them kudos for going to the movie theaters.
Going to the theater. Same thing with Amazon. They said Air is going exclusively to theaters, which I think is going to pay off for them. It looks like Air is really going to make some noise. I think it's going to be a sleeper.
No, I just want to touch back on Air a little bit. Like, I wish that movie had come out during Oscar season because I feel like it's too early for it to get like any Oscar buzz because it came out in March. But I feel like it could have. It's like Oscar. If it would have came out in the fall, it would have been Oscar bait for Best Director, Best Actor.
I think the chances are still there. I think the chances will be there.
It's tough. It's tough when a movie comes out in March to have that Oscar, run through the end of the year.
There's a lot of movies that some of my favorite movies that have come out in March have some trouble, and like Gabe said, in Oscar season, Zodiac is one of them. Zodiac struggled to pick up any awards because it came out in March. Which I think that's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was a movie that was able to stick around from being a crowd pleaser, and it goes on to win Best Picture. I mean, it came out like a year ago and then wins Best Picture a year later. I think Air can have not that kind of effect, but I think if it sticks around enough in everybody's memory, I think it can make some noise. And plus, everybody loves Ben. They love Ben and Matt, so
they do. Yeah, Mike Jones says March alone had Creed 3, Scream 6, and John Wick 4, and those are just the appetizers for the year.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of crazy that we had all of those week after week after week. I mean, and there's people that like Shazam. I mean, and you had Shazam there, and
right.
So, yeah, it's crazy that we got all of that within March.
And then 10-year-old me in like the middle of the summer is going to get Transformers, Rise of the Beast, and we're gonna get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we get a packed summer with a bunch of and Mario comes out next week or this Tuesday, I guess. I'll never forget in 2018 I went to see The Predator with my friend, and the lines were packed to see Simple Favor and Night School. But an issue resulted in the screenings getting canceled. I saw A Simple Favor in theaters, and it was packed. And I think that movie made a really good money. They're doing a sequel, actually. And I really like A Simple Favor. Have you seen that, Gabe?
A Simple Favor, that is Anna Kendrick and Ryan Reynolds' wife. I'm sorry, I forgot her name.
Blake Lively.
Lively. I saw that because of Anna Kendrick. I have a thing for Anna Kendrick. I think she's very, she looks like very sweet, but then she also looks like she could be a little bit dirty. I like that.
Okay, she's a great actress. I think
she's great. She's a great. I mean, she's a great actress too.
No, but I thought that movie was really good, and when he brought that up,
she does a good movie. And I'm sorry to like interrupt you again, but she did. I believe it's called Dear Alice or Sweet Alice. It just came out. It's a really different movie for her. She doesn't play like this sweet, naive young girl like she's usually known for. And she plays a totally different type of role for her, and she fucking kills it. The movie itself isn't, but her in that role, she fucking kills it.
Yeah, I think she's great. I feel like she hasn't been in a lot of things as of lately. There's a lot of actors that I feel like we haven't seen as much because of the pandemic, and a lot of them have kind of done the shift streaming. I feel like with HBO and things like that. TMNT. We don't know anyone rooting against that one. Pumped for it. That's true.
Listen, I'm rooting against it. All right, I'm gonna root against it. Those turtles don't look like my turtles from the '90s. Let's change back to the '90s turtles.
Should we do? I want to mention that real quick because Connor brought that up. There was and I guess I'll just say it on the show. There's a few weeks ago we all got into something, a debate.
We sounds like a lot of people.
It kind of was.
Keep my name out your mouth.
Okay, Gabe wasn't involved in this, but I guess I got into not even a debate, but I guess just a difference of opinion with somebody about April O'Neil in this new movie, which I'm of the opinion.
Thing. Listen,
it's very stupid.
This is the stupidest thing they get in. Listen, I'm not, and I'm sorry to steal your thunder again. I'm like fucking interrupting you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I think we're just gonna be having the same opinion either way about this. Is that like when I go see a Ninja Turtles movie, and I grew up hardcore on the Turtles, and people want to bring but the comic book, like listen, I read the comics. I mean, it gets a little fucking wild after a while, going in space and interdimensions and stuff. Those comic books are great. I love the IDW run. I love the toys and the animated series, all the incarnations of it. At the end of the day, all I care about are those 4 characters. I don't care how April O'Neil looks because I never wanted to fuck April O'Neil. Nice. Not even as a kid, never wanted to fuck her. I still don't want to fuck her. Don't care. She's a sidekick. But it feels weird that people, I guess, are like mad that April's not hot in this new movie, and then that's where the debate came from. Was like there was somebody who was mad that April wasn't hot in this new TMNT movie, and I just think it's crazy. I feel like when you're doing animation, you should be wild, do whatever you want, make her whatever color you want. You're not really insulting anybody,
right? So here's the thing. So here's my take on it, and I'm finally gonna speak my piece because I know you went in on it, and then there's whatever it is. So I'm gonna just air mine out here. Is this right? You're right. Nobody should want to fuck a cartoon character, right? Not that it's even possible unless you're living in fucking Cool World or
like Roger Rabbit world. Which and at that point, I mean, man, Roger Rabbit was a cuck. I think he was a cuck. I think he's acting crazy in love, but I feel like he would have let anybody have a menage a trois or go in on Jessica.
Did you ever watch Cool World? Which I've always thought
I have watched Cool World.
I always loved Cool World. Fucking Kim Basinger and Brad Pitt.
It's a strange movie. It's got great animation though.
No, but what I just want to say is like also if you look at the trailer, the turtles are definitely maybe like in like the third, like 14
like
to 17
13 or 14. Yeah, like very young.
They're very young, and April looks young. So if you're saying, oh, she's not fuckable, well, yeah, I'm glad she's not fuckable because she looks like she's fucking 12. She looks like a 12-year-old.
Which in the recent incarnations, she has been like a child. They've changed her being an adult. And you got that version. You got that with Judith Hogue in the original movies.
If there's a version of April O'Neil that people want to fuck, it should be the Megan Fox version of April O'Neil. Okay, cool, fine. Right. Megan Fox is a sex symbol.
That's
whatever.
Fair. That's
fair.
Michael Bay version.
She's actually human. You actually may have a shot, small as it may be, with Megan Fox. But whatever the case may be, in this iteration of the Turtles, she is a 12-year-old girl. She has no reason to be hot. You don't. Why the fuck would you want to sexualize a 12-year-old animated character to begin with? And so yeah, it's just wrong on all accounts.
Well, it's the same people that are mad that like with how Haley Bailey looks as the Little Mermaid, which is like, yeah, the Little Mermaid, it looks a little bland.
All right, so my cousin Hector,
it has nothing to do with how she looks or sounds, though. Like she sounds great.
My cousin Hector, he brought up a good point in one of our chats, right? The Little Mermaid was written by a white man in like Ireland or some shit who had never been to the
long ass time ago.
A long ass time ago, who had never been to the Caribbean. Like he didn't know how the people in the Caribbean looked. I don't know if you ever been to the Caribbean. I just went to the Dominican Republic about a month ago. In fact, a month ago, I was flying out.
Some dark people over there.
There's some dark people over there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You
I
know,
know we don't like talking about the whole race swap thing and
we don't
what
because
people
because
get
here's
mad
the
about
thing.
tokenism. But
Here's where I'm gonna here's where I stand on it. All right, because we're talking political. We went political with the whole fucking Jonathan Majors, and it looks like we're going that way this year. And I don't think it's political. But if you're gonna race swap. Why? Because I'm fucking brown. I like to see other brown people. I like to see darker skinned people. I like to see white people. What I'm just saying is I just like people of all kinds, and I don't mind the race swapping. Like that's
no,
not
and like this is what gets me mad because then like the argument would be like, what if you race swap Black Panther? I'm like, well, that's not gonna happen. That has not happened. Like,
Black
well,
Panther.
there's no
Black
what
Panther
if.
is unswappable because he's from Wakanda. It's an African nation. Like it's unswappable,
It's like the
right?
stupidest argument. It's just like, well, what if Batman was black? Cool, fine. Like,
What do
there's
you
nothing
think?
that's
Do you think I was mad when they race swapped fucking Mexican fucking what the fuck is this Bane for fucking a
that's
small
true.
white fucking
They
for Tom Hardy and a white Englishman?
I can't wait for Bane to finally be a really intelligent, big, uh, a Hispanic guy, like playing the
Right.
character. Yeah.
Bane has always been Hispanic, Hispanic origin. You don't know. He may be Mexican, Argentinian. You don't know. He
Right.
speaks Spanish. He's been Hispanic his entire run, and then fucking homie comes by with his Christopher Nolan comes by and makes fucking Bane an English, like a tiny Englishman from wherever. Oh, I lived in the lights, is whatever. I am in the darkness. Like, all right, whatever. They race swap Bane out. Did the Mexicans rise up and fucking revolt against Batman?
No.
No, we did
Everybody
not.
gave it a pass because it was Tom Hardy.
I was like, oh my god, fucking Bane! I love fucking Bane. Oh man, I'm gonna wear a fucking Bane mask.
Real quick, I want to pivot. Travis, you mentioned you hope that's a flashback. You want to see the turtles actually be a bit older. I would be okay with that. Like, I think with these films, we're going to see them grow into the characters like Spider-Verse.
It could be
I
an
think they're
origin
taking
story.
I think they're taking a lot of inspiration from Spider-Verse, which I think is a good choice. I think just go crazy with the animation. What's so good about the Turtles comic books is there's so many runs that Eastman and Laird did their thing. But everybody else kind of gets a hand at doing the turtles and making something unique with it, and that's what I want from this. I'm watching through the '80s Turtles cartoon for the first time. There's a monumentally effed up episode where April becomes the cat lady who meows and drinks out of a bowl, and it's creepy. Yeah, that is
I
a
remember that
crazy
episode.
episode. Yeah, that show is crazy because there's certain episodes that look amazing. They split a lot of the animation between studios to meet deadlines. So there's anytime the Japanese would do the animation, the show would look stellar. And then anytime anybody else would do the show, it looked kind of like bad. I've been wanting to rewatch that show. It's been like at least 15 years.
I think you could get the entire series on DVD at Menards for like $20.
I'm going to Menards. There we go. Sorry, are we referencing something? Is there a series of tweets or live streams? I guess, yeah, in a way. You mentioned April was originally in dark skin in the books, so there's nothing to be angry about. Yeah, I know Eastman or Laird, whichever one, they took inspiration from their wife at that time, which everybody wants to argue about. Was she dark? What she was? I'm like, I don't know. The bitch had a perm. She had a perm. She had a perm in the. She had a book. She had a perm in it. So
just enjoy this. Just enjoy what the content that we get out. Like I'm looking at the trailers, and every time I watch that trailer, I fall more and more in love with the trailer and the idea of this turtle movie because the animation just looks so fucking clean. The same way that I fell in love and keep on falling in love with the Into the Spider-Verse. Like I saw it in theaters, I saw it on Blu-ray. And I just got the 4K Steelbook, and oh my god, every time I see fucking Into the Spider-Verse, I fall in love with the animation style that Sony did, and I'm just like, just fucking enjoy. Like we're in this age where I guess Marvel's CGI sucks, but like with animation comes around, like fucking, it's looking so fucking good. Like
it looks great.
Even like old ass Coraline in 4K just looked fucking amazing.
And you mentioned Spider-Verse. There's the new Jordans coming out for that movie. uh,
Don't listen. I don't need
in
to
May.
spend fucking $300 on Jordans, bro.
I don't know if those are going to be limited or what. They look kind of
You
cool
already
though.
know they're gonna be fucking
They're going to be
limited.
limited, and people are going
They're
to
gonna
grab
be
them. They're going
people
to
are
grab
gonna
them.
grab them, and all
I
of a sudden
think.
I'm gonna want to try to buy these fucking Spider-Man Jordans, and
I
they're
think
gonna
I
go
might
for
buy
like
them.
they're gonna
I
go for
might
like
buy
fucking
them.
$2,000 on the fucking secondary market, on the resale market. I'm gonna be like, fuck, I'm gonna be poor.
But you mentioned that, and yes, I think Sony Animation's doing such a great job with Spider-Verse, and it is it's stories mean something to everybody. It's not just one group of people. Stories mean something. Everybody gets a hand at telling stories. Yeah, movies are a business, but what makes movies cool is it's people from all walks of life telling a story, whether that's Coraline, Spider-Verse, animation specifically, because animation, you could do anything. That's what's so great about the medium. You could do anything. Pinocchio, anything like Guillermo del Toro, like that's what's so cool about storytelling. When I go into a movie, I don't care, like, oh, they made the character a skin color or something, or like, I don't know, something that I don't want to see. It's just like that wouldn't even run through my mind.
Right.
Like that just
Which
isn't something
which
I
is
think
the
about.
dumbest thing to do, really, because if you look at like DC and Marvel, because they're the easiest to point to, is they have so many multiverses that they have a black Superman. There's a black Spider-Man. There's a fucking Mexican Superman. Like there's fucking why is because when they went international, they fucking made for their markets their own fucking Supermans for that market. They made their own
And
fucking Mexican
no,
Superman.
exactly. Like you could do whatever you want. And
So
we
guess
also technically we do have a Mexican Superman. DJ Catrona was paid for and casted as Superman in Justice League 2007. Obviously, that movie never got made because of the writer's strike. Common was going to play Green Lantern. There's pictures of DJ as Superman you can find online. He's in the Shazam movies. He's the one of the foster kids, the bigger one. I forget his name. He turns into one of the Shazam characters.
right.
But he was gonna play Superman, so like that's what I mean. Like these characters could be anything. But Travis, you made a good point. What Lando Calrissian? If it's something like that, like in Lando, where it's like, yeah, that's Billy D. Williams. You need somebody that looks like Billy D. Williams. Of course, it's not going to be like, let's get Lando Calrissian. Let's get Jonah Hill. Like that's a good point. Like it needs to be. It may at the end of the day, it's whatever makes sense for the character.
It does. Like I
That's the
said,
way I see it.
I've never cared about skin color or gender or whatever. It's what makes sense. I think I've told you this movie's been fucking panned and everybody fucking hated it and the trolls hit it so hard. But I honestly have somewhat a little bit fun with the female Ghostbusters movies. I'm not saying it's fucking
I did
great.
too.
I'm
I
not
don't think
saying
it's
it's
great.
fucking great. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking preach to tell you fucking female Ghostbusters was the fucking greatest thing of all time. No, it is what it is. But I had fun with Kate McKinnon. I thought was fucking hilarious in it. Chris Hemsworth was funny.
The only issue I had with that movie was when they were directly referencing trolls. I feel like that movie worked when it was expanding on lore, when it was setting up Gozer, when it was like we're gonna build up to Gozer as the big bad, and like Zool and all those things. Just I felt like that movie did a great job with the origin and the technology and making quippy jokes. And Chris Hemsworth was super funny. Kate McKinnon. The only issues I really had with that movie were when they were directly going, well, like everybody hates us, so let's call them out in the movie. That's the only time the movie doesn't work.
Right.
I feel like everybody had a hate on for that movie to like the extreme level. Like it
What
was
else
just
is
like
up?
insane.
Right, it was also like the female Oceans movie. That wasn't bad either with Sandra Bullock and all.
Yeah. That was one that it made sense they were female though. It was she played the sister of Danny, and
right.
In my headcanon, I buy that Danny had a sister named Debbie. And she also was a con artist. Like, to me, that makes sense. Like, you have direct tie-ins to those movies. So sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. And that's why I hate that subject so much. Like, when people just get mad about it, like, I don't think
it's art, dude. Art is so subjective. That's the thing that people don't take into consideration. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But at the end of the day, whether it's music, movies, fucking pictures on a fucking at an art museum, whatever the case may be, sculptures, it's art. It's whatever the artist interpreted.
It's whatever you inject into it.
Right. And it's subjective.
They talk about, oh, well, we want to go back to a time when things weren't political. Like, no, you're talking about when you were a child and you didn't know what politics were. That's what you're talking about. Things like that have always been in movies. Night of the Living Dead has politics. Like, all these
Dude,
movies have things.
look at Transformers. There's fucking civil war, genocide. Fucking Autobots are trying to fucking Decepticons are trying to fucking genocide the fucking Autobots, and the Autobots are trying to fucking do a fucking peace treaty. It's a fucking politicized fucking cartoon as fuck if you look at it that way.
Anything, and
Anything.
anything can be viewed that way. And I think
What was Captain Planet? That was fucking that was for the fucking environmentalists. Like, oh, let's fucking save the environment.
Let's save the planet.
Let's save the planet, kids.
You know what though? What is Travis? Ghostbusters 2016 was about how men are stupid, lazy, sleazy, or cowards. Ghostbusters 84 was never about women being any of those things. That said, I enjoyed 2016. I don't think 84 was about anything. 84 is one of my favorite movies. I don't think
84 was just fucking
about
Bill
anything.
Murray. Like the apex of fucking Bill Murray.
The story of Ghostbusters is three men who go into business, and that's about it. They go into business to be exterminators. They don't really have much of character arcs. They do their thing. They save New York City, and Bill Murray quips the entire movie. That's what makes it great. But I guess I could see that point of view. Sure, Ghostbusters 2016 definitely was poking the bear. I feel like you could tell in reshoots they were directly poking the bear at their critics for sure.
Do you know what? Sigourney Weaver was like really good looking then, but I don't know why I find like Sigourney Weaver now hotter than like 84.
You know, I was thinking about that for like an older lady. Like she really is
like she
really
like
sexy.
really like obviously you have Sandra Bullock, Jennifer Lopez, and you're in their 50s that look fucking phenomenal. Jane Fonda is like in her fucking 90s, and all the shit that she's got done with her, like she still looks fucking great. But like Sigourney Weaver doesn't look like she's done anything like plastic wise.
No, she just looks really good.
And she just looks really good.
Yep.
Like,
you know what I want to mention though too, because I feel like we didn't really talk about Avatar when it came out, because we were writing the script. I thought for me last year, that was one of my favorite performances of last year. She played literally a child, and like if nobody had ever told me, I probably wouldn't have noticed. Her is the sister in that. I thought she was so good, right. Or the daughter, I guess. I don't know, man. Anything else you want to add? We went on a whole tangent about Jonathan Majors, and if there's ever an episode where people stopped listening, it's definitely this.
This is the episode. This is the episode that's just gonna get us fucking canceled. They're gonna be like, these motherfuckers are too left, or these guys are just like really fucking weird. They just spent an entire hour just fucking talking about fucking race and
crying about Ninja Turtles and Jonathan Majors.
Turtles and shit like that. Like fucking, it's just gonna be like fucking all off. Like fuck that Mexican. That's what they're gonna say.
Probably.
Me being the Mexican, of course.
You know what? This is like this show's more hands off now. This is more so like, whatever.
We have found myself very attracted to Alien Resurrection Sigourney Weaver.
Ooh, I could see that. Connor said, I missed all the good stuff. You can always go back and listen.
You could always go back and listen. I'm just saying, you know.
I got nothing else to add, man. I feel like I can wrap up here. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we dip?
No. I'm just looking forward to seeing Mario next week.
Yes.
And and then we're gonna come back next Friday. Hopefully, talk long things about Mario. Hopefully, you've seen the Air by now, and we could go more in depth into Jordans. And maybe you were gonna buy a $400 pair of Jordans.
I think I might get some new Jordans this week. I've been thinking about it. So yeah, let's talk about Air. Let's talk about Super Mario, and I guess I don't know. I guess we'll see. John Majors would be an awesome shredder. I mean, yeah, I guess he would. But yeah, this was a fun episode, man. I can't wait for next week. We'll talk about that stuff. For anybody else watching and listening, thank you for joining in, having fun with us. This was a really fun episode. For sure. Even though we got dark and we talked about
dark.
We talked about how fucked up Hollywood is with like sexual assault and like hitting women and stuff. But
it got darker than my fucking cherry Pepsi. It was so dark. It was fucking outer space dark.
But next week will be light. It's all about Mario. We'll talk about Air.
It's me, Mario.
And then I think after that we got Renfield. I think that's the movie that comes out and Pope's Exorcism. Is that wait, yeah, that not next week, but the week after.
Oh
We
man,
get
I can't wait for
Renfield
the
and the Pope's
Popes.
Exorcism.
I can't wait for the Pope's exorcism.
So that's
Exorcist.
Exorcist. We get like 3 or so horror movies back to back to back.
I didn't even mention White Chicks. I want to remember. So like, I'm going to talk about White Chicks.
We'll talk about White Chicks. You know, every Flopbuster will now mention a movie that is hated that we think is secretly great. And next week we could talk about White Chicks for a little bit.
All right.
Even though I think that was like a huge hit.
It was. It still is a huge hit.
Yeah, I think people like, even though critics like dogpiled it, people love that movie.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we'll touch on it next week.
Next week we'll talk about White Chicks.
We'll talk about White Chicks next week.
And not the movie.
Anyway, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and we will see you next week, guys. See Mario, see Air, so we can all talk about it together.
Yes.
Peace.